on to your butts. It's Wilhelm Screamfest.
Hello, it's 2020. It's been a horrible year, so why not talk horror for Wilhelm Screamfest 5? It's been 5 years. I've been really bad every year. I'm saying, I'm going to do 31 reviews, and I end up doing like 5 or 6. But we're going to start big this year. We're going to have a really good reviewer, a really good YouTuber, entrepreneur, maybe? He's out there.
Entrepreneur works.
It's Mark Reilly. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well, Ikaika. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to talk about horror movies. Before we get into that, let's plug everything that you have going on right now in your life.
Oh boy. Well, I have so much, but the big one right now, let's plug it. October 10th, Reilly's Cantina Live. That's my Star Wars show. We're going live. Me and Ken Knapsack are hosting. Ken Knapsack, the great Ken Knapsack, author of Why We Love Star Wars, and co-host with Joseph Scrimshaw on Force Center. He's going to be with me. So is Joseph Scrimshaw. He's going to be doing some comedy, some Star Wars-based comedy in this live stream event. And it's kind of a celebration. It's kind of the Star Wars celebration convention that we didn't get. So hosted by me and Ken, special guests, musical guests, Star Wars fun facts, giveaways, and wine. What more could you ask for, right? So that's October 10th. If you go on my Twitter, you can see it, but you go to ticketweb.com, and that's where you can get tickets, at Ticketweb. So it's ticketweb.com, and Reilly's Cantina is right there. You can get a VIP shirt. You can get just general admission, but we have a bunch of shirts, and we have a bunch of masks and hats, and man, I'm excited. I can't believe it. There you go. Ticketweb.com for Reilly's Cantina Live, October 10th.
Yeah, make sure you check that out. I'll put the link below in the description as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Wine, friends, Star
Wine,
Wars.
friends, special guests, Star Wars, special Star Wars conversations, music. I mean, yeah. I love calling it this. It's Star Wars celebration that we didn't get on a very small level.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about it, like in some of your other episodes about just Star Wars in general and how it's been a lot of hate the last 6, 7, 8, 20 years now since the prequels.
Yeah, 1999, I believe, is when it really started.
So this is good to have a more celebration.
Yeah, we're celebrating.
We need to get into positive vibes. Get out of this shitty year. Let's
look. Yeah,
be
are you going to go talk about The Last Jedi still and how much you hated it? And during 2020, came out in 2017. That was a long time ago. So we're moving on from that. I love the movie, obviously, but yeah, it's time to celebrate. We're going to celebrate Star Wars. That's what this is. It's a celebration.
All right. So it's October 10th, but today,
October 10th.
1st, we're going to talk about. We're recording this, so
nice.
But we're going to talk about The Fly.
The Fly. I love that this was one of the choices for me because I had just started talking to my fiance Julie about watching this, and so when you're like The Fly or this, I'm like, yeah, The Fly. Haven't seen it in years. Good pick.
I mean, I would describe it as body horror, but I feel like it's also like a psychological horror on the two characters, like on the two main characters.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
It's really hard though. Like, even though I've seen it before, rewatching it, and as I said, like, gore doesn't really bother me. I don't get disgusted by things, but this movie is pretty damn disgusting.
This is the first time in a long time I've seen my fiance have to look away. She's a big horror fan, and me too. I forgot really how bad. I'm like, I mean, that stuff at the stuff at the end is really ridiculous. But yeah, the body horror. But when you think about it, is kind of psychologically a horror movie, psychological, almost thriller-esque as well. But I would say more psychological horror, obviously, and the simplicity of the two just back and forth, playing with the bigger themes of God and God complex. And that's what basically happens to oh God, Grundle, right? Grundle,
Brundle.
Brundle. I was trying to pull it. That his character is a fascinating character, and it's like, and what I notice about the movie too is that it starts off right away. I mean, they're at a party and he's like, I'm doing the great Jeff Goldblum. He's like, I'm a scientist and I'm the smartest ever, and then boom, it's just you're off and running, and I love it.
I know, I forgot that it literally starts in the middle of like a conversation. I was like, oh, we're getting right into it. Which I feel like if they did
really
this
does.
today, it would be drawn out. Okay, she's waking up. She goes all the way to the party at night. She gets
Yeah.
there. She sees him, and then they start talking.
Yeah, it would be there would be some, I don't know what they do it for a remake. I mean, I kind of picture like a faux like a nod of the cap Jurassic Park opening, but with the pods that he's creating something and something weird comes out of the thing and it's like rah, and it blows up and then it's like oh and we go to the party.
Yeah,
It'd be something weird like
definitely.
that where you don't need it. This is great, and that's what I appreciated, and it really felt like a snapshot of the time. Was you walk right into that party, and it's like Gina Davis, Jeff Goldblum. You're talking about it, and no time to waste.
I really like how it's a slow burn, but it doesn't feel too slow. Like
Yeah,
little things
yeah.
here and there. You see differences in personalities. Their relationship grows. It
Mm-hmm.
separates. It grows again, and then the last what 30, 25 minutes is just oh god.
Batshit insanity. Because you're right. It is a slow burn, but not too slow. Because there's things that happen that are intriguing, and there's a very sci-fi element to, with the teleportation. Like I love the baboon scene with what the implications of that, and that when the thing comes out and jumps and hugs him, you're like, wait a minute, he did it. Like so, you're really grounded in heart and character so that, yeah, you're right. When he starts to become the Fly, oh, good Lord. I
Let's
mean,
let's
you can't look away.
let's get into that. Just the
Okay.
special effects. Like
Right.
oh my god.
Special
Um,
effects are incredible, practical, right on the money. It's just like everything looks just disgusting. I
I
mean, the guy is glistening most of the movie. Just ugh.
I believe the only like CGI is the actual like teleportation, and that's like kind of
That's a
crude
little
CGI,
off.
but
Yeah, it's a little dated, but that's really, yeah, everything else is practical because of the makeup, the blood, the whatever, the throw up acid that he has. Oh, jeez, man.
not to get into the sequel too much, but all I remember for the sequel is the very end where the Fly is just going to town with that acid. That's all I really remember. Like
Yeah,
like in a
yeah.
stairwell or something, just like
I barely remember it. Yeah, Eric Stoltz is
yeah.
the Fly too. Yeah, I can't really remember, but it's the way they do it here. I think is just enough to get you sick, and it's like sick in a good way. What you want to see in a horror movie, when you're like, oh, and you're looking through your hands. That's really fun,
I
and
feel like
God, yeah, go man.
I feel like they took a lot from like American Werewolf in London, where his friend that's
Uh huh.
slowly um what's the word decomposing,
Yeah,
but it's like that
decomposing.
it's just he's evolving to this gross monstrosity.
Yeah, his transformation is great. The little things, the hair that comes out on the back. What is that? I don't know. And then it's really really interesting. And then how he's becoming super. It's like it's like, hey, this is like Spider-Man. No, it's not. He's literally evolving into a fly.
Yeah.
It's gross, and it's really gross. And then when you see Goldblum, his character will look at the leg and be like, oh, and then just throw up on it to just kill. It's just gross. It's so
Yeah.
gross. It's
Like
so gross. It's brilliant.
and I feel like that effect of like the acid with the white and the red, like
Hmm.
the Raiders of the Lost Ark, um that melting. I feel like I haven't
Yeah.
seen that since the 80s, maybe the 90s, but
Yeah.
everything's
It's
CG.
a,
But even if it's practical, I feel like that bubbling effect isn't there. It just goes straight blood.
it just, and you could feel it. You could feel the screams of this guy and this poor guy that was Gina Davis's what? I have no idea what this poor guy was doing, but she didn't love you, dude. And then he was poor guy. He keeps showing up to try to like help her because she keeps going back to a fly. And then he shows up to help, and what happens? Fly eats him. That's basically spoilers.
And I mean, we definitely go spoilers in this review, but the weirdest thing
Yeah.
is like you hate him throughout the movie, and then as he's getting like tortured and his acid's eating his limbs off, you feel bad, but you're also like, you kind of deserve this. But then also like, oh no.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing too. He's kind of a dick to Gina Davis, and then you're like, why are you hanging out with this guy? So yeah, when the fly starts to eat him and dissolve him, you're like, it's gross. You feel bad for him, but you're also like, well, yeah, I think deep down you're like, he deserved it.
So going more into the special effects,
Yeah.
what stands out to you the most, and like what is the most disgusting part for you?
I mean, I think we were just talking about it, but it is the acid. When he looks at the thing that I really, it just killed me was when he goes to the leg, and I know he does it on the arm too, but he goes to the leg and you just see it eat through his leg. And I mean, it looked incredibly real. So that's probably my favorite gore effect in that thing. Oh, because it's like where he chooses to put the acid, it's like he's debilitating this guy, and it's disgusting in all the right ways.
I think the hardest part for me to watch is when looking in the mirror and like bites his nails. And
Oh God! Oh, I forgot about that.
for
Oh
some
yeah,
reason,
that's really
the only thing
bad.
that bothers me in movies, like I can watch all the Saw movies and I watch them for the traps. Like, oh, what are they gonna make this time? What are these
You're
sick people
right.
gonna create?
But
But
the
if it's
fingernails.
fingernails or teeth, I always have nightmares like about my teeth falling out, and I wake up
Ooh.
like no. So
Oh
like
God. Yeah.
I thought there was a something with teeth in this one, but the nails, not just like they peel off, but like squeezes and the
Right.
pus goes on the mirror.
Oh, it's so gross, man. Oh, it's so gross. Yeah, it's just so gross.
That and then like the
And
ear
so
just falling
great.
off. Boop. It's like, oh god.
Right. Oh, it's great though. It's great that I forgot about that.
And that final transformation when like she's hitting his face and then like the skin starts coming off and like his knees like hyperextend, they go the other way, and it's like the fly
Yeah.
just comes out of the
It's
cocoon of the skin.
oh, it's so yeah.
It's
It's
weird though
amazing.
because it's like a fly, but then like a shrimp, human. It's just like it's so
It's an
creepy.
abomination, and I mean that's the whole thing, right? It's you know, the implication of what he's doing, the God complex. He should have really listened to his own self by the time he got to Jurassic Park. He wouldn't have gone to the island to begin with. Um, but it was this God complex. Can I do this? Can I manipulate? Can I break science and be better? And so that impetus behind it is so fascinating to me. So that and he says it, he's like, no, it's like it didn't. And I can't remember what it is, but he's fused it, so he evolves into this thing. Oh, and it's so great. And you brought up a great reference, Ikaika. I think this movie has its inspirations firmly in American Werewolf in London. I think that there's a big part of that, and especially that crew that came up around those times, your Cronenbergs and your Landises, that were
Hmm.
doing these horror movies. Spielberg is in there too, with Poltergeist and Carpenter. These movies are all connected by that kind of spirit in filmmaking, and it shows that this movie is so much firmly cemented in that kind of area, and that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, I feel like the 80s in general really they learn from the past like decades.
Hmm.
Like the 50s, 60s was like mostly aliens and out of this world and big monsters. The 70s was more like you're bringing in the slashers, but kind of keeping the alien and like New World thing. And then 80s is just bonkers. Like, we're going everything. We're
Oh
taking a little bit
yeah.
of this, we're taking a little bit of that.
Yeah, I love it, and I wish that there's a lot of horror now that still has its inspirations in the '80s horror, but yeah, this is the shining example of the genre in those '80s being at its finest.
Yeah, I'm really happy that there was no like wings. I feel like if they remade this movie now, like he would spark wings out of his body, and you
Yeah, it
would
would
see the
come out, and he'd probably fly.
yeah,
Yeah,
you would see the fly a lot more if it was like the sequel. You
yeah,
see the end product a lot more as well. But I feel like the
right.
best part of this movie is you finally wait, just like you're waiting for Jaws. You finally see him at the end, but you still don't get too much of it. You get just enough where it's like
Right.
perfect.
Well, that's if they remade Jaws, they would show the shark all the time. If they, all these different things that with the effects being what it is, it takes away. It's kind of that je ne sais quoi of like, well, how do you qualify it? How do you go less is more? It just feels right,
Hmm.
But where are the analytics of like, that's why I feel like 80s cinema can really help 70s and 80s cinema, I should say, and even go back all the way to the 1960 with Psycho. Less is more. Don't show it. That's what The Fly really does,
Yeah.
and well. So by the time you get that full shot of The Fly, it's disgusting, and the movie's pretty much over by then, which I really like. It's just neat, and you're like, ugh, because
Yeah.
more would have been disgusting.
I feel like they could have got so much more disgusting with this movie, which
Oh yeah.
like they could have showed a lot more of the eating and stuff. The eating in general is just. Bleh.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Ugh.
I guess we'll go into just Jeff Goldblum's whole performance. I mean,
Ugh, yeah.
I love Jurassic Park. I love Jeff Goldblum, but before like connecting Jurassic Park, a lot of people hate The Lost World because of one scene, the gymnastics scene.
The gymnastic scene.
So rewatching this movie, you make more sense why
Funny,
she's so good
right?
at gymnastics, because when he
There's
gets
more
his power,
connections than I thought. Yeah.
he does
He
the
does
same
this
thing on the
whole
pole.
he does
Yeah,
this whole routine, which is so amazing. I love it. It's the classic, oh, I have powers. Let me test them out. And
as
so
I'm
it's
glistening in the morning.
that's what I'm saying, man. There's a lot of glistening in this movie. Jeff Goldblum glistens the entire movie. And as when he's glistening as the fly, that's when it really starts to. That's
It's
like when
disgusting.
garbage starts glistening. It's not good.
Yeah, he literally looks like a garbage pail kid, like for a little
Yeah.
bit towards the end.
Oh yeah. Oh, exactly. Oh, that's hysterical.
But yeah, I feel like Jeff Goldblum was the perfect casting because he's so like quirky and like jittery at times. So
Yeah.
when he gets to that evolution after the whole teleportation and he has the fly within him now, he's like just talking and jittering really quickly and like
Yeah,
seeing him
man.
eating coffee with all the sugar. And I was like, why do in bug movies like Men in Black do they like sugar so much? And it's because they have such high metabolism, so they need all that sugar. And I'm like,
Right. Right.
oh,
Right. It's great. Oh, it's so awesome. This movie knew you mentioned a lot of it. Just knew its mythology and it knew it knew exactly what it needed to be. And I think that's also a credit to Cronenberg, and his direction.
yeah. Like I don't know what's my favorite moment of Jeff Goldblum in this movie because I think I like him right before he becomes like asshole, where he like leaves and like goes to the bar. Like before that, like where he starts getting jittery and like he doesn't know what's happening and he just feels
Yeah.
like a superhuman. Like I like that part of him because it really shines his personality.
Yeah, that's like peak Goldblum. And I think for me, it's the realization of what he's done when he's finally at that, you know, he's gone. He
Yeah,
knows it. There's a moment in this movie where I think he knows he's completely gone, and it's great acting through the makeup. So
I know.
it's awesome.
Going back to the makeup again, it didn't like really hinder the performance. It wasn't like you just see his mouth moving, his eyes. Like the skin's
Yeah.
still moving, but you can see that like his him being afraid behind that makeup,
Right.
which is just perfect.
It's great. Yeah, it's fantastic. So, well, like the makeup, like cannot be said enough how the practical effects are so on point that we're, almost 40 years later losing our mind here.
I just thought of one more disgusting part.
Okay.
When she has the dream that she's pregnant,
Oh yeah. Gives birth to a maggot.
it's so disgusting. Like, so I told my
Of course,
girlfriend,
it's a maggot. Oh god.
I told my girlfriend Heather, I was like, okay, are there any movies you're gonna want to watch? Because I know you don't like horror movies. She's like, maybe some. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch The Fly tonight. I know you're not gonna want to watch this because you heard me say how disgusting it is. And I think it was
Right.
that scene is like specifically why I didn't want her to watch it because it's just so. It's I feel like if you're like a female, that's just more traumatizing than anything else.
Yeah, there's a lot of implications to this too about, what it would be like and especially the birth scene. What the character of Gina Davis is fascinating to me. It's like, it's an abusive relationship. She's going back to this guy, when he's literally turning into a monster. So it's a fascinating kind of comment, and then her taking her strength back, and it's classic '80s stuff too. It's a very similar template running through a lot of horror movies, and it's the empowerment of woman and her, you know, falling in love with a genius and him being an abusive prick, and then him coming back around and her taking the power back, and then the birth scene, is that kind of, it's, what am I trying to say here? It's like that's her vision of like this could happen, and I love just the horror that in that, and it's because when the birth of anything is so sacred, so when you see this maggot, oh god, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, and so when I think about all of that in the movie itself, I I go crazy.
One of the first thing I noticed when I started the film was the music. Like, I've always been a fan of scores and stuff, but
Yeah.
I didn't really pay attention before watching this, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds like Lord of the Rings a little bit, and a little bit of God of War. Who did this? Oh, it's Howard Shore. That's why it sounds
Howard
like Lord
Shore.
of the Rings."
Yep. I love seeing the old movies. What did we just do? That, oh God, I just missed. I know it was Howard Shore, but we were just watching another movie where it was Howard Shore. Um, uh, I can't remember. I can't pull it. But I was talking to my fiance about that very thing. It's like we're sitting here and I'm listening to music and I'm like, yeah, this is how I knew it was Howard Shore, but I'd forgotten at the time when you're listening to it, and it's like it makes a lot of sense.
Like that's the one thing I like about like some composers is they'll kind of put their older work into the new stuff, but it's not too similar. Like the one badish example is Giacchino. His Star Trek theme is almost identical to Doctor Strange, and why I love the Doctor Strange theme, it's like the same thing pretty much with maybe a few notes change. But here,
Right.
like here, it sounds a little bit like Lord of the Rings, even though this came out a lot before. But
Right.
it's not too similar. It's like, okay, he just copied the same thing when he did Lord of the Rings. No, it's
Yeah.
he took inspiration, the same like tones, the like excitement and the darkness of the film, and put it into Lord of the Rings because that's what Lord of the Rings is.
Right. Yeah. It's wonderful to see this, like the connections all across like careers and acting, and your connection talking Jeff Goldblum all the way to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
I just feel like this movie, it's not an underrated movie, but I don't feel
Definitely
like
in the
people don't talk
cult.
about it enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies that I always hear come up when I'm talking to like my horror friends. It's definitely one of those that people include in top 10 lists, and just it's a cult favorite
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Um,
It does need to be spoken more of, though. I think it does. I think it does, actually. I really think it's earned its place in the history, not history. In when you talk about great horror movies, Like, I feel like it's up there with The Thing and
Mhm.
Nightmare on Elm Street and The Exorcist and Poltergeist and, you know, in different ways. Like, there's body horror. If you're taking the subgenre of horror and saying body horror, this is near the top.
Yeah, I can't even
It
think
has to be.
what would be close as far as a body horror.
God,
I
I
feel like
know. I
nothing
can't
else is
really
too
think.
centric on body horror. Like,
I haven't really thought. Yeah, this is up there. So,
what there was that one movie in the 2000s, like it's called Idle Hands or something. Like his hands evil.
oh yeah, Idle Hands, Seth Green. That's right. Isn't it Seth Green? Is in that? No, that's Devon Sawa, I think.
Whoever's the main character from Final Destination, I can't remember the actor's name.
I think. Let me see. Idle Hands. I think it's Devon Sawa. Yeah, it is.
There you
He's
go.
great. Yep.
Yeah, like
Nice.
this is definitely the epitome of body horror for sure.
Oh yeah,
It's,
this is the gold standard. This is the best.
no pun intended.
No pun intended.
All right, let's get into just the review, a 5-star review,
Okay,
and
let's
maybe
do it.
any positives, negatives, brief rundown.
Yeah, I mean, for me, not a lot of negatives. The effects are a little bit dated when you get to the CGI. I think it's a little bit dated with some of the, you know, the language, the dialogue, the relationship with Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum. But I appreciate kind of the template, the 80s flavor for that. But then you have like, I love that it knew exactly what it wanted to be. It got right into it. I give this a solid 4 out of 5.
Same.
I mean, I love it. It's like, it's just, I have a lot of nostalgia for The Fly. So that comes into it, but 4 out of 5 for sure. It's one of the best.
Yeah, I would give it 4 out of 5 too. Like,
Nice.
it's not my favorite horror movie of all time, but it's up there
Yeah.
with just like rewatchability. Even though this movie made I want to rewatch all the time just because how disgusting it can be.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you're a fan of just special effects in general, it's like this. Uh, American Werewolf in London and The Thing are like the three 80s special effects movies you need to watch. Like these
Yeah.
are just, I mean, there's more out there, but those are my top three.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum just cements it. Gina Davis is a
Yeah.
great, like,
They're
the way they
awesome.
just play off each other is so good. I can't really think.
They got married after it. They got together. I don't know about married, but yeah, this was the movie that did it, I hear.
And in the beginning, I forgot he used, like, 'cause I didn't really realize he was a piano player until recently. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's showing off his piano skills in the beginning of the
Oh
movie.
yeah, yeah. He's in a band and everything. So yeah, he knows his stuff. Yeah, Goldblum is a talented MFer. He's
Yeah,
like the best.
if anyone hasn't watched it, watch The World According to Jeff Goldblum. If you love Jeff
Oh
Goldblum,
yeah,
just watch that on Disney Plus. Like,
yeah.
whatever he
He's
talks
great.
about, just like he makes every little thing like so, like he looks into your eyes like you're the most important person. I love that about someone. Like,
Yeah, he's the greatest. I still one of my favorite celebrity sightings is Jeff Goldblum wandering around the parking lot of Rite Aid. Like he's just wandering. I don't know what he was doing. And it literally looked like Jeff Goldblum. He's like, huh? And I literally was a drove. I can't. But what is he doing? It was the greatest.
all right, that's a review of The Fly. Riley, you want to do your plugs one more time before we go?
Sure, man. Remember October 10th is live Reilly's Cantina. October 10th. It's me and Ken Knapsack, hosted by me and Ken Knapsack. And you can get general admission, or if you want a really fancy shirt of me as an action figure, a Star Wars action figure, or another alternative shirt, you can get your collector shirt, which is a VIP ticket, and then it will include a Q&A afterwards. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Musical guests, different guests, old favorites returning, that kind of thing. Reilly's Cantina Live, October 10th, ticketweb.com. Check it out. Ticketweb.com. It's just now getting everything, and it's Reilly's Cantina Live. Can't wait.
All right, thank you so much, Riley, for
My
doing this.
pleasure. Yeah, my pleasure, dude. This was fun.
Hopefully I can keep this video reviews up for future reviews. We got a few more things coming up. I'll be doing let's just look. Scream, Crawl, Crimson Peak. Those
Yeah.
are on my list right now. I gotta
Nice.
rewatch those. I've seen them recently, but just her studying. But stay tuned, guys, and thanks for watching.